Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. It's been a couple of days since I've made one of these. We got a new 4.1.1 PTU patch today, and there's been a couple of little things that I have noticed that have been updated or changed. And we're also going to go over just a couple of other minor little things. So let's go ahead and get into it. First, very briefly, I would like to cover the This Week in Star Citizen post. We got that today instead of yesterday, I think, because there was a holiday in the UK. But in short, what we're going to be getting this week is Wednesday, we will be getting a roadmap update and roadmap roundup. So I'll make sure to cover whatever new stuff we get in that. And then Thursday, we are going to be having a Star Citizen live with the narrative team. So that's going to be Dave Haddock and some of the other people on the main writing team there. They're going to be answering a bunch of questions related to the narrative of the game right now. I've seen a lot of interesting questions posted already on there. So that'll be at 8 a.m. Pacific or 4 p.m. UTC, and that's on Twitch. Friday we have the weekly newsletter, and so that's the general schedule for this week. Now, one interesting thing that I noticed is in the little introduction to the post, there is a small sentence that reads, "Meanwhile, Invictus launch week is fast approaching. Expect massive ships, memorable moments, and a few surprises along the way." So that's a very interesting line. I know some people are, my initial thought was, oh, I wonder if the massive ships could possibly if there could ever be an ever so slight chance of maybe teasing the Drake Ironclad, since that is a pretty big ship. It's about as big as the Carrack. Will that actually happen? I don't know, but I just thought it was an interesting little line in there. I'm sure we'll see lots of big ships. They usually always have like fleet flybys and stuff, so there'll probably be Idrises and Javelins. Maybe there'll be a Bengal that shows up, or something like that. But yeah, just an interesting little thing that I saw. With that, let's go ahead and let's talk about a couple of things from the patch today that I tested out. So to start with, really quick, let's go through just one or two things in the patch notes itself. There actually wasn't really any new features or gameplay or anything that had to do with that change today. They said they're planning on opening up to further waves, so probably like wave 3 or 4 tomorrow or Wednesday or Thursday. So we'll probably get some additional stuff then added into the patch. But the main things I wanted to mention really quick is there have been several bug fixes on the Aegis Redeemer. I know that there had been some issues with the thrusters not showing up, as well as the MFDs not showing the cast of the ship correctly. Like you couldn't see the holographic view of the ship. That has been fixed as far as I can tell from these bug fixes. I personally don't own a Redeemer, so I haven't been able to check, but I did hear from some people in global chat on the PTU that did have that they checked, and it seems like everything's good. So if you have a Redeemer, you should be able to see the status of the ship and all that sort of stuff, and the thrusters that weren't showing should also be working for you. But that's the main stuff from the patch. Again, I'm really hoping we get some juicy stuff to dig into tomorrow, some additional additions of features or location, whatever else they're planning on putting in this patch. There's quite a lot still that is in the not ready for feedback category, so we'll just have to see how that goes. With that, I did want to go, and I have been spending a bunch of time going through some of the new space combat missions to collect the mercenary scripts. So a patch or two ago, when I had tried that, you weren't with the space combat missions, you're supposed to be awarded a certain amount of scripts per mission, depending on the difficulty. But in previous patches, they had not been awarding that, so it was really difficult to obtain them. But I noticed in this patch that it is now working. So I'll throw up a clip in a minute here that will show when you complete the contract. There's a little thing that just pops up and it says you've been awarded these items, and there's a little after that it brings up a little like retrieve prompt, so you have to click the bracket button to like accept it, and then those scripts are sent to your home location. So for me that was Lorville, and then that's where you're able to retrieve those. So that's really good news. So I have been grinding a bunch of the space combat missions to get a bunch of those and some of the Ace Interceptor helmets, and I have brought those to Wikelo, and now I wanted to go into trying to test a few of the new trades that he has and see if we can get those to work. All right, so here we are at Wikelo. The Emporium door is still not open. Again, I think this is probably because there's some new armors and new weapons that they're probably adding in there, so they're just sprucing it up. I'm sure we'll get that at some point pretty soon here. So I have collected enough different items to be able to do a couple of the different trades that Wikelo offers. So I have some of the Ace Interceptor helmets, which are going to be a very needed resource in these new trades, and they are surprisingly difficult to get your hands on. Today I was having pretty much the Ace pilot will always spawn in a Hornet, but what I was experiencing at least today was if you hard death the Hornet, the Ace pilot goes poof and you can't loot him. And it also seemed to make the contract not completable for some reason, or if so, it's either the Ace pilot's body goes poof and then it's bugged, or it's just the marker for the body goes away. So you have to be really careful to just soft death the ship. That may change in future patches, so we'll keep an eye on that. There's also, so I'm going to try and do a trade for some ship components, and then I have the stuff to also trade for one of the new skins for the Volt Rifle, as well as one of the new armor pieces. I should be able to do that. So we're going to try those and see if we can get those to work. First, we need a Wikelo favor for both the Volt Rifle trade and the armor piece trade. So you use the new script currency for that. You need 50 of them for one favor. So we're going to bring up that and turn that in to get one of the favors. I'm going to go grab one real quick too, so y'all can see what it looks like in the game. All right, so here is what the Mercenary Guild script looks like. It's a really nice looking medal. Of course, you could look at it and be like, oh, you know, that looks a little bit like Beskar or whatever from The Mandalorian, which, you know, I'm sure there's some inspiration from that, but it looks really nice. I believe the council scripts do have a slightly different design. I think it may be a little bit more oval, with a little bit less, you know, design changes in the lines on the outside there, but it looks really nice. So let's go ahead and let's turn these in and get these trades going. Well, I've run into some unfortunate circumstances already. So when I turned in the scripts for the Wikelo favor, it showed as the objective had completed and the contract completed, but I have no Wikelo favor in my inventory, and I did it a second time just to make sure, and it didn't work again. So it looks like I'm not able to get Wikelo favors, so that rules out being able to do the gun and the armor trade for today. But I'm still going to try and do the ship component trades, and we'll see if that works this time. Like I said, last time it didn't register the helmets, but it did register the Panther repeater you need. So we'll go ahead and try it and see if it works. Alright, so we have the trade for useful ship parts contract. Now this is the lowest level of 3, so there's trade for useful ship parts, and then if we look under collection, we have a trade for very useful ship parts that needs 5 interceptor helmets and 2 Panther repeaters, and then want super useful ship parts, you need 10 Ace Interceptor helmets, 1 Wikelo favor, and 3 Panther repeaters. So I'm assuming this will be an alternate way to get like stealth components or military components, maybe ship weapons as well, but we'll just have to see. So let's go ahead and we will try doing this one and see if we can get it to work. So I think I'll actually start by just sending down 1 helmet, and just to see if it registers them at all on the objective, and then if it does, then we'll send the other stuff down. So let's go ahead and bring it back up, and we'll see real quick. Volt gun, more navy. Hold on. I may need to cancel the other contracts real quick. Cancel the other ones, and now let's try it again. So it shows 1 of 3. So we have 1 on there. So let's try sending it down and see if it registers. So it looks like it did not. It still shows 0 of 3 on those interceptor helmets. So it looks like these new Wikelo trades, for whatever reason, are still not working, which is very disappointing. I want to see what new stuff we can get from it. I did notice they haven't updated the little holographic thing here, but for the big ship surprise, I believe it's actually 30 Wikelo favors you need, and then that 50 Karenite. So a lot of mercenary scripts or council scripts, depending on if you're doing the illegal or legal ones. So yeah, it's not like a terrible grind. What I've found, and I believe I have now unlocked the highest level of difficulty for the legal side ones. So we start with, I guess I can't show them here, but it goes, there's 2 yellow level contracts, then there's 2 orange level, and then finally 2 red level. It seems like it's kind of it's very similar to like very low risk targets up to ERTs. But in this case, the highest risk target from what I have seen is the one where you have to take down an Idris. The second highest ones, typically it's like a Reclaimer or a C2, things like that, sometimes a Caterpillar. And then the other ones, it's like there's like Connies or MSRs, and then some other medium to then to small ships as you go further down the difficulty list. So they're not like terribly difficult, but I will say that the spawn rate for the Ace Pilot I feel is a little bit low. It took me a while to get several helmets, and also the fact of if I accidentally hard death the ship, then it got rid of the pilot's body or something like that. So I think there's still some things to be worked out there. I'm hoping we get some further updates with that. Maybe tomorrow's patch, we'll get some updates for this, because I'd really love to see what new things we can get from Wikelo with 4.1.1. So the one other thing I wanted to talk about is just something I have noticed when I have been looting at the Hathor locations. I've found in the large green weapon boxes that you can find around in the various loot rooms and things like that, there have been some updates to the loot pool. I have found P8 ARs in those big green weapon boxes now, which previously I believe you were only able to find it in contested zones, and it was only the base variant from anything that I had seen. But now there are P8s in those loot boxes, and it seems there are some skinned versions of the P8 that look really nice. I will show really quick the ones that I've seen so far. First, we have the Blackguard version of the gun. So it's pretty much just an all blacked out version of it. I really like how this one looks, and this is probably what I'm going to be rocking most of the time once the patch goes live. Nice black, I guess matte for the most part finish. So yeah, looks really sleek, really nice. The other one we have is the Metro Camo version. So that's sort of just like a digicamo. This kind of looks like a similar texture that we've seen on the potential combat atlas that was in the Wikelo Emporium. Looks like it's like a similar pattern to that. So that one looks pretty cool as well. It's not like super duper different from the base model, but yeah, I think I am definitely going to be rocking this version of it, the Blackguard one. I have also seen a couple of clips of people supposedly finding the CitizenCon version of the P8, which is blue. So I haven't found that yet, at least at the Hathor facilities, but it's very possible that I just, haven't happened to run into it yet. But yeah, that's really just a little notable change that I wanted to let y'all know about. So if you're looking for P8s, you can find them at the Hathor sites now, and you can also find some really nice skins of them. And yeah, P8's a really good gun. I really recommend it. Really good for pretty much anything. You can do long range. You can do medium to short range pretty well as well with it. So yeah, that's the little FPS change that I noticed. So that is probably going to do it for this video. Again, hoping that in the next patch or two we're able to actually do some of the Wikelo trades and see what new stuff we can get from that. I'm probably just going to be grinding a lot of the ship missions to get as many mercenary scripts as I can and the helmets and all that sort of stuff. So then once they do start working, hopefully we can try out some of the new trades for items, as well as hopefully some of the new ship trades. The lowest level one you need 20 favors for, and then I think the medium one you need 30 favors and 50 Karenite. And then the top one, which I believe is the F8C trade, you need 50 favors, I want to say, and a couple of other things. So lots of scripts to collect to be able to get those different ships and showcase those for you all. But when I do get those, I'll make sure to make some dedicated videos on that, so y'all can see what's up with those and if they're worth trying to get. So that is going to do it, though. If you enjoyed the video, feel free to drop a like, as it really helps the channel. Feel free to subscribe if you haven't already for more Star Citizen testing videos like this. And until next time, I will see you in the verse.